I want to talk about something. I really don't care about this particular topic that much because it doesn't affect me all that much, but some guys are big on it, so I'll at least have to cover it. And it's a concept of knee. Just in case I didn't come out right, knee. As any, I don't know if you can see it right there, K-N-E-E, just like that thing on your leg. Now, all this knee business means is if we have a hard knee, you can kind of see this drawing. I think we talked about this a little bit in the last video, where the signal gets louder, hits the threshold, and says, uh-oh, and here comes the big bad compressor. All right, that's kind of how we've done things this whole tutorial, and that's how I generally like them. If I want less compression, maybe I'll either use a less ratio or I'll use less threshold. And even at high ratios, if we're very careful with our threshold, as I'm about to show you, it won't do a whole lot of damage. I mean, we may only knock off a decibel or something. Let's see. Okay, that's pretty decent. I was knocking off 2 decibels off the peak. Okay, so and you really couldn't hear a whole lot of work being done by the compressor. All right, anyway, ratio is all the way up, but we're still barely touching it because we're playing nice with the threshold. We're saying we're going to put our line so high that only the worst criminals are going to cross the line, and that way, when they do cross the line, we're going to get them. But so that's one philosophy, and it kind of reminds me of how like dads are, like they don't really care if you're playing out in the mud and all that kind of stuff. Maybe getting in the spray paint's about. We'll say mud. Dad doesn't care if you're playing in the mud and doing all this stuff. But then there's mom who, if you're holding your spoon wrong, was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And so mom, it was more like this, where you do the tiniest little infraction, and she's gonna jump on your case, and of course she's just gonna nag most of the time. This is most moms. I don't know about all, but mom here is just nagging. Now, when you do bust out the window, we go back to Dad again, who normally has a pretty high tolerance, but he says, you just bust out the window, here comes the belter. That's how it is in Missouri anyway. I don't know about more liberally areas of the world. But anyway, the point here is that we can clamp down way early, but be a lot nicer about it and just barely do stuff. Or we can just set our threshold tremendously high, but then if you cross it, it's World War III. Now, knee ties into this because take a look at this little dot here. This is where the threshold meets. This is where the compressor kicks in. In every case, that compression kick in, like once the attack has been dealt with, so 10 millisecond attack time in this case, as soon as that attack's over, or attack period has passed, compression goes, we're in. And we're in the exact amount of this ratio. Now, we have this little soft knee button here in Cubase. Some compressors have settings where you can adjust it like from some kind of value, 0 to 100 or 0 to 10 or whatever, the mounted knee. And all that does is it rounds this little part off. Now, for you guys who aren't familiar with this stupid looking deal, all you really need to know is we're actually going to start a little bit ahead of time and start compressing earlier, which actually can make it sound more compressed depending on how you do it. But anyway, we're going to do it with a very low threshold or ratio. So right about here, instead of waiting right here and going, no way, that's it. We're going to say, you know what, we're going to start clamping you a little bit early, and we're going to round this guy off. Unfortunately, the graph doesn't illustrate this on this particular plugin, but we're going to round it off so that the compression is a little more gentler. But when it finally gets up, a ways past this threshold point, it clamps down quite a bit harder than we actually have here. Now, let's take a listen, and I don't think this is a huge freaking deal because I can adjust my things either to be more like Dad or more like Mom, either way by the threshold and ratio options. Let's take a listen with soft knee off, so it's hard knee. And now. Holy crap! Oh my, did you hear that? Me neither. Let's check it one more time. I don't hear a difference at all for drums, and I don't usually hear much of a difference for any of this stuff. Most of my work is in the rock or metal or trance type dance stuff. So in my world, you can compress pretty hard and it's encouraged, and after you compress it, you're usually distorting it too and all this business. So maybe, I don't know, some kind of classical junk or or something where you're just being ultra careful. You know, they say R&B has very little compression compared to rock and stuff. So I don't know. That's knee. That's my opinion is that it doesn't do that much, but maybe you'll hear something more. Maybe the compressors you used make better use of it, or I don't know. But feel free to experiment, but don't waste too much damn time on it. All right, guys. Thanks. Bye.